Okay. All right. Well, let's thank everybody for coming for our fifth GBM. I can't believe it's already been five of these. We're already in November. Um, there are not a lot of people here this week, so I think that's because of exams and a lot of stuff going on. But all that means is that I expect you guys to be a little more engaged. Talk up. If you want to say something, just unmute and say it. No need to be shy. We all know each other here. Yeah. So just gonna get started. So. Go to the next slide, Robert. And as per usual, we start the GBM the same way every single week. So hopefully you guys know what we're about to do. So I want everybody to unmute and as usual, say the mission statement. So the mission statement of National Society of Black Engineers is
To increase the
number
number
of culturally responsible
Black
Black
engineers
engineers
who
excel
excel
academically,
academically,
succeed
succeed professionally,
professionally,
and
and
positively
positively
impact the
impact.
community.
I love it. I love it. All right. So you can go to the next slide, Robert. So today we're going to talk about interdisciplinary engineering careers. And that might sound long and fancy, but all that means is we're going to be talking about different ways you can explore your engineering career and what you can do after you graduate. Some people might not know that, as an engineer, you have a lot of options for you after you graduate. It doesn't have to be directly so if you're a chemical engineer, you don't have to graduate and be a chemical engineer. You could do something completely different. And that's really what we're going to talk about today and try and get you guys in the frame of mind of being open to exploring new career possibilities as you're going through your college career and looking for internships and looking for jobs. So next slide, Robert. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is internships. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with what internships are and how they work. But what we're going to really doing is really just going over what they can really do for you of your career development. So next slide, Robert. So before we begin, I would just like to hear from some people in the chat, or feel free to unmute. If you've ever had an internship position before, what are you hoping to do? What kind of internship experience you're looking for? And if you had an internship experience, how was it? And are you still interested in working in that field that you interned in? So don't all speak at once, but does anybody want to share their experience in previous internships? I would share mine, but I'm going to do it later on. So I would love if somebody else. But if not, we can just move ahead if nobody wants to share. Going once.
I can share one.
Oh, all right. Thank you,
Just to
Takira.
let everyone think, simmer a little bit. I did an internship at a water treatment plant this spring, and I don't really want to do that, but now that I have the skills, I could do that if I needed a backup job to do.
I think Tyler also said in the chat he learned what he didn't want to do. So that's also what internship is for. But if nobody else wants to share, does anybody else want to share?
I will, I guess, just to
Okay.
like keep the conversation going. So over this summer, I had the opportunity to intern at CDM Smith as a construction management intern, and it was all right. Like it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad either. I just think it was an experience. But am I still interested in construction management? Yeah, no. Like it taught me that I like engineering, but I'm interested in managerial aspects more than technical. So that's what I definitely learned. So yeah.
Right. And then Eva said she also agreed with what Tyler said, and that's perfectly fine. Learning what you don't want to do. And since I don't think anybody else wants to share,
I would like to share.
all right, go ahead.
Hi, I'm John. I'm a freshman. I had an internship senior year of high school. It was at Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory. Originally, when I went there, I wanted to do propulsion, work on aircraft propulsion. But after the internship, it made me realize that I was more interested in aircraft systems versus just mainly propulsion.
Right, exactly. It's really all about finding about what you want to do. So, and that's great work, John. I mean, not everybody gets internship before college, but you're already ahead of the game. All right, let's go to the next slide. I think that's everybody. Oh, I see a lot of people retweeting in the chat. Yeah. Um. All right, so we kind of just discussed this, but an internship is really a way to get a taste of what working in the professional world is like. It gives you an idea of, after I graduate, could I see myself working at this company and or in this field in general? And, that's the purpose. That's why it's only 3 months, 3 to 6 months. That's a short commitment. So if you do it and decide that you don't like it, then you're not obligated to go back. That's just an opportunity for you to look for a new experience or something else. So this is how you can really. So I recommend, if you haven't done already, look for an internship, try and secure one, and I think that really give you a better idea of, if you're not, what you want to do after you graduate, or as a lot of people have already said, what you don't want to do. So you kind of cross that off the list and know not to go there again. And then you can go to the next slide. Right. So I think this is a very important. I like this slide a lot because, you know, definitely when I first came to RPI, I said, okay, I'm going to study electrical engineering. So that means I need to be an electrical engineer working with circuits and all that kind of stuff. But I realized that just because I'm an electrical engineer doesn't mean I have to be doing electrical engineering things per se. I am trained and have the skills to do a lot of other things. And, I think I'm a great example of really using internships to explore what I wanted to do. So, like, over the course of my college career, I've interned at 3 different companies do 3 different completely different things, and every single time I said, I like that was cool, but I want to do something else. So my freshman year, I worked at GE Aviation, which is an aviation company. So I was working in aerospace industry, and I enjoyed it. It was cool, but I was like, this is not the industry I want to be in after I graduate. So I looked for something else. I looked for. Then I went to ExxonMobil, which is oil and gas, something completely different. It's not even like completely different field. I was doing something completely different, and again, while I was there, I enjoyed it. But over time, I realized, that's not really what I want to do. I know some of you guys don't like the arch, but that was during my arch internship, which I really enjoyed. So, definitely consider arch if you're still thinking about it. And then lastly, my last internship was at JP Morgan Chase doing software engineering. And that's like, you might ask, how did I even get there, right? Something completely different than what I was doing before. But I just used my time and just realized, these are the things that I want to look in. I'm interested in, and these are the things I'm going to try. So, lucky for me, third time was the charm, and I really enjoyed my last internship, and I'm really hoping to work in that industry after I graduate. So, I just really want to encourage everyone to have an open mind when looking for internships, and also while you're there, have an open mind, and don't be worried that you might feel stuck, like, oh, I had an internship in this company, in this industry, am I stuck here for the rest of my career? Definitely that's not the case. You have how many years left you have in college to figure it out. Even after you graduate, you still can switch jobs, go back to school and learn something new. It's the possibilities are endless, especially as an engineer. So we can go to the next slide.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about like broadening your horizons and not having like a fixed mindset. I am an engineer in this major and I have to do this thing. Next slide, Robert. So Robert made this lovely example of tunnels versus trees. So the tunnel would be, you're just entering through this tunnel, like there's no way for you to kind of switch lanes, switch different tunnels. You're just going straight through, tunnel vision with one idea in mind, one mindset, but kind of envisioning it as a tree, or your major as a tree, where you can kind of branch off, try different things like Emmanuel was just talking about, and is find the little light that the branches are going towards, whatever your path may be, and you can kind of switch and figure it out along the way. So is it too late for me? If you don't like your coursework, this might not be that simple for freshmen right now, but if that you have that one class that you're taking that's directly pertaining to your major and you really don't like it, maybe think about changing your major. Sophomore year might be a better year to kind of figure out, do you want to stay in the same major or do you want to switch? And it's easy to leave a field if you're super uninterested. Definitely like go the way that makes the most sense to you or will make you happier if your curriculum is just really not it for you. And the good thing about RPI is that since we all engineers take the same general core courses, you can switch in between majors. You can change your major as many times as you need to before like junior year if you want to figure out something different. So for juniors and seniors, it's a little bit harder. You'll probably end up staying an extra semester or two, but maybe it's worth it in the long run. That's extra tuition, so try and change it before then. And then creating a new support system within your new major might be difficult if you already had a lot of friends and study groups inside your other major with your classes. So what should you do if it's too late for you to change your major? So that was kind of an open-ended question, but we're going to do some little smaller discussions in breakout rooms. So if you don't want to talk in front of everyone, you can talk in the breakout room. But some questions to consider are if you ever changed your major or why. I know calling out Nampuna changed her major. Miriam changed her major. Just calling out people, but I know you guys changed your major, so you guys have to talk about it too. If you ever had an experience that changed your perspective on the field you want to go into. For example, I'm a chemical engineer, and I learned that a lot of chemies go into like oil and gas, like ExxonMobil, where Manuel once interned, but it kind of doesn't go with kind of creating a better environment with fossil fuels and things. So I learned that about chemical engineering and realized I did not want to go into that field, which kind of narrows my choices a little bit, but I'm fine with that. And if you want to know do you know what you want to do after school? It's okay if you don't know what to do yet. Some people decide what they want to do their last year of college, or some people come into college knowing exactly what they want to do and what they need to do to get there. So those are some questions to consider. And I think we'll discuss like 8 to 10 minutes and then come back at the end.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause the recording right now. Okay.
All right. I'll speak for these next couple slides. My name is Christopher. I'm one of your freshman representatives. I'm a freshman aeronautical engineering major, in case anybody forgot who I was. But I don't know. Those breakout rooms are pretty engaging. I like those. I'd be happy to hear if anybody has any opinions they'd like to share. But when we go into majors, naturally with the School of Engineering, be pretty difficult or chaotic to choose what you want to do, especially if you're trying to specialize. For example, if you chose to switch from environmental engineering to civil, you could then decide to further specialize into like transportation or structural, or even if I switch from mechanical to aeronautical, I could choose to switch from propulsion systems and design to avionics or flight dynamics control. There are so many options. It could be fairly difficult, but the most straightforward way or ways is to go through internships or simply concentrating with your academics. Next slide, Robert. Thank you. Really, the key to navigating your specializations and your different majors within this field of engineering is exploration. At RPI, you can follow your degree template and then minor into different concentration just to get a feel about what you want to do, or really just take related courses without a minor, really, to gain a better understanding of what your career industry has to offer. You could intern someplace else to diversify your experience. For example, I could intern at Boeing and intern in the human factors and in-flight ergodynamics department to like satisfy passengers who want their butts cuddled, rather than working on engines and working under niches. Internships are really just a direct route to exploratory experience if you consider all your options. Otherwise, you can take courses in a more diverse field and just shift your experience in that way. Next slide, Robert. So for those who want impact rather than change, don't want to switch their industries and rather just want to make a few splashes in their field, you can easily just look for where your industry stretches into other industries. There are obvious connections like civil engineering and real estate, where you build houses and sell them, or biomedical engineering and public health, where you develop vaccines and hand them out to people for the greater good of the community. But there are other less known connections like any type of engineering and public policy, especially environmental engineering. Taxes, environmental or energy regulations, social programs can all have impacts to and from engineering careers. It's really because of this that you should put a lot of thought into your options, but always make sure that you're more open-minded than you presume, because a lot of these connections can surprise you. For example, I mentioned in my breakout room that I was majoring in aeronauticals, and I'm planning on adding a nuke dual major, which is almost unheard of here at RPI because the two are so drastically different that there's like 4 in the last 20 years who have accomplished it. But I can easily rationalize it, because if I want to go into solar electric propulsion, I can work on engines in aeronautical and work on thermonuclear particle physics and nuclear engineering. I can easily join the two. So it's little connections like that you can use to conjoin and explore your different majors and get a better idea of what you want to do with your career.
So I will be taking these next few slides. So you guys heard about internships. We got into breakout rooms, and we gave you situations where you could use an internship or declare a minor or even change your major. But what's also very important as well is that you're unique. So how do you utilize the skills that are unique to you, and how do you apply them to your career field? And what I'll do in the next few slides is that I'll show you how. Okay, so one of the best foundations of this, of utilizing your skills, is T-shaped learning. So although each engineering major has its own skill set, they teach the same base knowledge. So for example, civil engineering may focus on structures or transportation, and aeronautical engineering may focus on planes, but they have the same foundation of science and mathematics. So when it comes to engineering and engineering-based knowledge, they can be broken into hard, quote unquote, hard and quote unquote soft skills. So your hard skills would be anything within STEM, such as math, science, and programming. And your soft skills that engineering teaches is teamwork, perseverance, grit, persistence, and so on. As everyone knows, your RPI is a very difficult institution, and that's one of the factors that will set you apart from your counterparts. Now, what's really important, especially if you want to go into a field that's similar to what was mentioned in the previous slides, is your soft skills. And use your soft skills to create depth, and that's what really matters. So, for example, if an industrial engineer, if an IME major realizes maybe interested in their original coursework, but for example, they may want to go into finance or consulting, they may use their soft skills such as they may use communication skills they learn within their classes or extracurricular activities in addition to engineering skills, so that when they complete an interview or a case interview in this instance, they'll stand apart from their non-engineering counterparts and hopefully get the offer. So T-shaped learning is definitely one of the best ways to do it. It'll definitely set you apart from when you're applying to internships and full-time jobs that aren't in your career field. So the next way that you can utilize your skills is using your passion. I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but you can easily incorporate your hobbies and interests while defining your career path. So for example, if you like traveling and you're interested in consulting firms have their employees travel to complete client work. So for example, you'll get on an airplane to a client site on Monday, you'll be in a different city, and you'll come back on Thursday. So depending on the client site length, you'll be able to travel to multiple cities within your career, not only within a given country, but around the world. So if you're interested in traveling, consulting is definitely an option for you. And also, just for example, if you're an engineer, just because you're an engineer doesn't mean you have to work for a strictly engineering company. What a lot of non-STEM companies or non-engineering companies do is that they have engineering and tech divisions within them, so they don't have to source outhouse. So, for example, if you're a CS student, you could become a software engineer at a retail company if they like fashion, and it definitely does help when you'll be able to apply your technical knowledge as a CS major, but also your passion as, for example, in fashion as well. Shown in the photo, you'll see the picture of the guys playing basketball. A lot of sports and media companies have engineering and technology divisions within them. So if you search hard enough, you can definitely find internships that may not be directly within your engineering, that may not be strictly engineering companies, but you can find companies that have engineering and tech divisions. So you'll be able to hone in on your passion while utilizing your major at the same time.
Well, now we have something kind of special for this GBM. We have we have an alumni and a current student who's going to share their experience in, how they ended up where they are and kind of how that journey went along. So, two people we have is Jeff, class of 2014 and currently works at Train. And then we also have Chuck, which I'm sure most of you know, who's in class of 2021. I think I'm going to let Chuck go first and, introduce himself, talk about his experience and how he got there, and then we'll let Jeff go after him and share his experience. So, Chuck, I'm going to give you the floor to you.
Hi guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Chuck.
All right. So, my name is Chukwemeka. Well, everyone knows me as Chuck. And I'm currently a fourth year mechanical engineering student. But I am going to be going into the business field. I know like many people will probably like, how can mechanical engineer go into like the business field? But here's what I'm about to tell you, my journey. So freshman year, after attending the, Nesbi National Convention. Yeah, so shout out to everyone who is thinking of going to the FRC or National Convention. You guys really go. It is a very good opportunity to get both connections and like job opportunities. So yeah, after attending the nationals in my freshman year, I got an internship opportunity to work for GE Aviation. And before that, like I was really skeptical about working a desk job because I thought like desk jobs were boring, like just staring at the screen all day, not really doing anything. But my internship, they actually taught me that I did like staring at the screen all day because I was mainly doing data analysis, and I really liked that. But for the team I was working in, it was kind of like a high level team, so I didn't really get to do that much work. And although I did get a return offer, I forgot to accept it. Yeah, I know that actually sounds kind of rough. But yes, I did forget to accept my return offer. So after GE, I still came back to RPI to do the summer arts program. And I took a semester off after my summer arts. So that was second semester junior year. I applied to so many engineering jobs like for that internship, but I couldn't get any. Like I literally just got one interview opportunity and I didn't even get an offer from that. So literally for the whole of 2020, that's from like January to August, I didn't have a job and I was just gonna be at home doing that. So I decided that I wasn't like just gonna spend all my time at home playing games and watching TV, although it was actually fun. I did apply to BP sophomore experience program and I took an online course for KPMG to like for their data analytics. And not gonna lie, I think like the BP software experience program was the best thing I've ever done for myself, because that actually like opened my eyes to trading and shipping, and actually made me realize that I really did want to like do something along these lines of like trading and shipping, because it was fun. I just found it, like really exciting. I'm like, there's nothing I've done in all my 3-4 years of engineering that's made me this excited. So from then on, I literally told myself, okay, you're going to go into trading, if not trading, at least like something that's related to this. So from then on, I started to apply to investment banking jobs for like investment banking opportunities. And I've forgotten the other field I was also trying to get into. But like essentially, this trading and shipping helped me discover what I wanted. And now it was up to me to actually like actively pursue it. Because I know, coming from a mechanical engineering background, like it was going to be really hard to get into a business role. Although many people are going to tell you that business is one mechanical engineers, but still you have to prove to them that they should take you. So this was actually my whole plan. Like I'm about to tell you guys like what I did from, I think this was August till November. So I actively researched all companies I just applied to. And even before like the opportunities opened, I already had my list. And as soon as the job opportunities opened, I applied to them. So for each company I was applying to, like a specific cover letter. And I also like stalked recruiters on LinkedIn. Like I'll actually be messaging random recruiters saying, "Oh, hi, my name is Chuck, and this is my background. Could you like tell me a little bit more about the opportunity you have?" Because that's like coming off as someone like that's really interested in what the company has to offer. So like that's something I did. I actively like pursued recruiters. And that's not a lie. Many of them ignored me. But like the few that got back to me were like, it really gave me hope. And what else did I do? I actually like did follow up on companies. Like, so I knew I was going into business. Therefore, I had to know something about like the business industry. So I actually like got into stock markets, and I was actually like following the market and knowing what was going on in like the business world. And also my minor in economics, I'm taking a minor in economics, really helped me. So like I was able to relate with recruiters when like they ever got back to me. So luckily for me, I was able to get a few interviews from this. And not gonna lie, interviews are like one of the scariest things like you're going to face, because I guess.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Oh, okay. So like the interviews are really scary because I felt like they were going to be very technical, and I felt like I was like very underprepared to answer technical questions. But I was able to actually reach out to like friends who were already in this industry to like actually prepare me. Shout out to Gianni, because he like really helped me prepare for like my interviews and everything. Like he gave me resources to look at in like making myself better prepared for my interviews. And I wouldn't really say luckily, but like after all my efforts, like it paid off, because I was able to get a summer internship at UBS for investment banking, for like summer analyst, for a summer analyst role in investment banking. So, what is the moral of this story? Essentially, if there is something you actually like want to do, just pursue it like aggressively, because no one is going to come to you and like hand you an offer for being who you are. Like, no, you actually have to like actively pursue things and sell yourself, because this BP thing that I did was just a 2-week program. Like, it wasn't an interest or anything. But the way I actually talked to recruiters about it, it was like I'd worked for BP for 10 years. So like I was actually able to like sell myself, and I mean I was able to BS, because what I said was actually like things I learned in 2 weeks. So selling yourself is literally the key to everything. Like, just package yourself nice. You know how like people take pictures of very little things at some good angle so they look like big as hell. So yeah, do that. Make your little product seem as massive as it can be. So yeah, that's my story. Thank you guys.
All right, Chuck, thank you for sharing. We're not going to take questions right now if there are any. We're just going to move straight into Jeff. So I'm just going to hand it over to him to introduce himself and like just share his experience and his journey to where he is today. So Jeff, I can see you. So go ahead and go ahead.
Awesome. Hi, good evening, everybody. Can everyone hear me? Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Hope everyone's having a wonderful evening so far. My name is Jeffrey Adebayo, class of 2015, not 2014. I was just as active as all of you guys on campus. I was PCI chairperson for Nesbi for the 2013-2014 year. I was also the BSA president from the 2013 to 2014 year, as well as initiate of the Fall 13 initiate of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So yeah, I'm an old head. I'm not so proud about it. Before I knew it, it was 5 years outside of school, and yeah, it's scary. So it happens real quick, guys. But yeah, so that's just a little bit of introductions about myself. So I work for a company called Train Technologies. If I were to sum that up, a lot of people like probably don't even know what that company is, or probably saw Train at like the past career fairs. I was wondering like, what in the world is that? Are they associated with like, the MTA or whatever? Like, no, we're not. So Train Technologies in a nutshell is pretty much a climate solutions company. We actually just merged, and so we're now comprised of two companies, Thermo King and Train. Thermo King basically provides HVAC, or heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems for trucks, and etc. So basically, if you have like these trucks that are responsible for delivering cold produce, like the systems in those trucks are designed by Thermo King. And then there's Train, which basically does the exact same thing, provides HVAC technologies for residential areas, like your homes, or commercial buildings like skyscrapers or industrial manufacturing plants, etc. So what do I specifically do at Train? There are many roles that can be done, but I specifically am what they will call a technical sales engineer. And there are many roles that a technical sales engineer can play depending on your skill sets, your preferences, and depending on who you choose to interact with more. So some people might feel comfortable interacting with mechanical engineers or contractors or architects, for design build or like construction type situations. Or you can choose to work with, like what we call directly with business owners who own the actual buildings. And so I'm what you would call an owner direct account manager, or a services solutions account manager. And so as a solutions account manager, I'm more or less responsible for developing new accounts, expanding on existing accounts. So like new like business, procuring new business within like the North Jersey portfolio, because that's where I am. That's where my office is. I focus on a lot of like account penetration and customer retention. So I know I'm probably throwing a lot of like big words at you guys. I'm sure you guys understand it, but essentially like basically expanding on existing accounts, trying to create business as much as I can, and find a way to provide solutions for their buildings. And so basically, I do anything from consulting services on existing HVAC systems or developing and from like brand new systems for like customers. I manage, execute projects for controls, energy, anything that you could really think of. And so, like the role itself is extremely diverse role that basically forces you to dive into many different areas and utilize many different skill sets that I knew I wasn't going to be able to dabble in if I had chosen a very linear or traditional engineering role. And so that kind of leads into like, why did I ultimately take this route and how did I discover technical sales engineering? And honestly, just referring back to a lot of the information that was shared with you guys tonight, like I really hope you take that to heart, because the fact that you have, an organization like Nesbi telling you about these things up front, especially for those who are freshmen or sophomores, it's really important because it at least opens and diversifies your path, kind of like the tree example that was shown earlier this evening. So basically, the reason why I switched, funny enough, like I was actually my sophomore year, I was at the Nesbi Chef Career Fair, like maybe the 33rd or the 32nd one, whatever it is, I don't remember. And I was waiting on this line for Boeing, right? I was a mechanical engineer, and I was like, hey, yo, I'm about to come through. Things are going to be lit. I'm going to get my internship at Boeing, and everything's going to be really fun. So I wait in that line. I finally get to the front, and I'm talking with this guy. I forgot his name. And honestly, I thank him because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be where I am. I shared my resume with him and he started talking about everything. And so he asked me, so like, why are you interested in Boeing? I was like, yeah, because I want an internship. And I like, I want to, be able to diversify my mechanical engineering backgrounds and everything. And so I asked him and he was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. So it's like, you have any questions for me? So I was like, yeah, sir. Like, what do you do? And honestly, if there's anything that you guys should do when you're at these career fairs, actually interview the person who's trying to interview you. People think that people feel like it's this one-sided thing when in reality it isn't. Like you want to make sure you actually want to work there and it's not just some place that is going to make you miserable. So I started interviewing the guy. I was like, so like, what do you do? The guy was like, yeah, I'm a gear specialist. And I was like, oh, so like like how long have you been doing that? He was like, yeah, I've been doing it for like 15 years. Like, wow. So like, do you handle like all the gears on all the, for the entire plane? The guy was like, no, I've actually worked on this one gear on this one plane for 15 years of my life. I looked at the guy, I actually took my resume back and walked away. I kid you not. At that moment, I realized that I didn't want to have anything to do with mechanical engineering. In fact, what this guy was doing with his life was so far different from what I envisioned for myself. I was like, hey, yo, I'm not literally that day. I walked straight to like the office where I walked straight to my advisor and I was like, hey, I'm switching to another major. And I didn't know what major I wanted, so like he gave me time to think about it. I ultimately ended up switching to IME because in like industrial engineers, they kind of share the best of both worlds, very technical, but also understand like the business aspect of things. And so, I ultimately took that route. And so, essentially, long story short, I used my skill sets, right? Because I didn't want to take a traditional engineering role. That's why I switched to become an IME in the first place. And so, I ended up becoming a technical sales engineer, actually it was at a Nesbi National Conference when I actually discovered what technical sales engineering was. So I realized that this kind of fit into what I wanted because it didn't follow the traditional engineering path. It actually allowed me to use other skill sets that I have being able to talk with people, being able to interact and build personal relationships while still being able to apply the practical hands-on knowledge from my engineering discipline, right? And I don't care what people say, whether you're a mechie, whether you're aeronautical, whether you're, whatever. The fact that you're an engineer just means that you're capable of solving problems. So you have the opportunity and the chance to really succeed no matter where you are. So the fact that you're an aeronautical engineer and this concept of you thinking that you have to go to like Boeing or Raytheon or Northrop Grumman is a complete and utter fallacy. You can do anything you want simply because you're an engineer from RPI. And the last reason that I ended up taking this route was because I actually wanted to make money. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like RPI's tuition, $64,000 a year, that's wild, especially if you don't have like scholarships or anything like that. And so, oh goodness gracious, 72, golly, yo, that's wild. Hey, see, listen, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I wanted to have a return on my investment as quickly as possible, right? So that I could pay off all these student loans. And so taking this role, obviously, there's a lot of ups and downs, I had to grow, but just to kind of give you a snapshot from where I was to today, I'm on a team that manages a $17 million account base. I have 60 plus accounts that are spread across multiple vertical markets between K-12, state government, manufacturing, healthcare, hospitality. And one might say well, how can you, specialize in so many different vertical markets? I was like, well, it's because I'm an engineer. It's because I have the aptitude to understand and learn and teach myself about many different things so that I could become an expert, so I could play that consultative role if I wanted to, or I could play that engineering role if I also wanted to. Or if someone just wants a friendly face to say hi and trust and and throw money at for projects, I'm also that guy. So this year, I've already driven over $2.3 million worth of sales, which equates to cash in my pocket. And that's something that I know that I would not have been able to do if I was just following that traditional engineering role or engineering, whatever. So, really it was thanks to Boeing that gave me the opportunity to see that I did not want that, you know what I'm saying, for my life. And honestly, it's the decisions that you guys make now is what's going to ultimately mold you into who you want to be. And so if there's any advice that I could give to all of you guys is make decisions based on your values and the things that you see yourself doing, not what the status quo is suggesting you should do. Because in the end of the day, you're just going to end up miserable, not happy. If you're a sophomore, you want to change your major, it's okay. You can do that. If you're a junior and you want to change your major, it's okay. You can do that, right? In the end of the day, it's all about what is going to be okay for you. It's not about where you are now. It's about where you're going to end up. And if you never stop hustling and if you're continuously growing yourself, then you're never going to stop growing. Or so basically the sky's the limit, essentially is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, thanks to Nesbi. Thank you, eBoard, for giving me the opportunity to share my experiences. You can look me up on LinkedIn if anybody wants to connect. Train has jobs for people. If you guys need jobs, let me know. We could figure it out. We could talk. I could send your resume to HR, whatever it is. You guys got an inside man. So I appreciate the opportunity, guys. Good night.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff, for speaking. I hope you guys heard that. He said, I have jobs and I'm looking to give them to you. So that was, definitely something you guys would want to hear. So I'm going to open it up to any questions anybody had. Does anybody have any questions for either Chuck or Jeff about the experience or anything in general? Now's the time to, feel free to just unmute yourselves, or if you don't want to unmute, you can ask in the chat. And if you don't feel comfortable asking now, you can definitely connect with either Chuck or Jeff on LinkedIn and reach out to them there, or you can talk to me and I can put you in touch. So definitely multiple ways to get your questions answered. So Any questions from anyone in the audience?
I have a question. I have a question for you, Jeffrey. I know I met you in my breakout room and I'm back again, but I am trying to switch to IME and I'm a really big people person and I just really I know we have Corona and COVID and everything, but I still would like to communicate with people somehow and I want to use that degree for that. But I was wondering, did you minor in anything like with marketing or management to get to where you are? No?
No, I didn't. I was just straight up IME. Um, See, the thing that I want to share with you guys. And someone said this to me and I didn't believe it, and it's kind of serendipitous that I'm saying it to you guys because it was an alumni when I was in your shoes. The skill sets and the things that you learn at RPI are so substantial that it puts you so much further ahead than most people in the world. And so this idea or this concept of having to do more, and minor and do all these things is like you don't need it, especially at RPI, unless it's unless it's a specific trajectory that you're trying to target. But for me, I always what my brother and my fellow Nigerian brother said about selling and upselling yourself and packaging yourself correctly, I completely agree with that. Because I used to say, yeah, I'm an industrial management engineer. And then I realized that IME was a subsect of industrial engineering industrial management systems engineers, like IMSEs, whatever they called it. So I just switched it on my resume. I was like, yeah, what did you study? I was like, industrial systems and management, whatever. I forgot. I even forgot. Industrial systems and management or whatever engineering is what I called myself, which basically, and it's true, right? To some extent, right? I did have components of management. I did have components of industrial engineering. So I just merged the two together. So people ask me yo, so what did you do? Yeah, industrial systems and management. Oh, so you have the best of, I was like, yes, exactly. That's what I am. I have the best of both worlds. And so that's kind of how I, packaged myself, so to speak. So I don't think there's a need to do that. If you took intro to management with, I forgot his name, old dude, used to work at Raytheon. I don't know if he's still there.
Professor Wright?
Yeah, Mr. Wright. He teaches you a lot, and especially about how to work and package yourself and shoot for the best on certain aspects. So you're straight, to be honest with you. And the fact that coronavirus is out there doesn't stop you from interacting with people and communicating with people and having a conversation. It doesn't. It's actually just an excuse, because if someone's asking you to make money and you're saying coronavirus is out there, and then your paycheck is a direct correlation of what you're doing, you're going to find anything you're going to find any way to succeed no matter what, right? Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Good luck switching into the major, by the way.
So are there any more questions? I see Jeff just shared his LinkedIn in the chat and his email, so definitely take notes of that if you want to connect with him later on. But does anybody have any more questions for either Chuck or Jeff? And don't worry, if you don't get a chance to answer your question, no, definitely have more opportunities to do so later by just connecting with them.
I have a question. This is Eva here. I'm a senior at RPI at the moment, and I'm kind of in the process of figuring out what my next step is, but I still have plenty of time since I still have a semester, 2 more semesters left. But I guess at this point, I'm wondering, how do you find a job that is the right fit, and what does that mean?
Is that for me or for Chuck?
Probably for you, since Chuck is probably in the same situation as me, as I assume.
Okay. So your question is, how do you find the right job, and how do you know? So can you just repeat it one more time for me?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, how do I find a job that's the right fit, or what is the right fit? How would you actually define that? Because I feel like so far I've had a few internships and some that I've liked more than others, but I don't know if it necessarily means it's the right fit. Like, what does that mean to you?
Okay. So it's a very you can take this, I can answer this question very logically or philosophically. To be honest with you, it really depends on what you believe in for yourself, right? A lot of students have this idea that when I graduate, I need to go out and save the world, and I got to do this, I got to do big things, I got to do, everything, that I believe in. And to be quite frank, that's just not going to happen. I hate to, blow anybody's bubbles, but it's a reality check that I myself had to have for myself. And so, when you talk about the right fit, right, to me, I wanted to be in an environment that always allowed me to excel, to succeed, where there were going to be champions to help me continue to grow, where I saw familiar faces. And if I didn't see familiar faces, there were at least people that culturally understood who I was. Because in the end of the day, a career is just a career. In fact, a career and job, they're the same thing. They're just synonyms of each other, right? Like the goal is, at least for me, wasn't to be in this job for like 50, 60 years of my life to then retire at the end of it. Like, my goal is to eventually step out and maybe conquer other aspects of a market, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But the bottom line is this: you have to look at the company from a logical perspective, in a sense where, is this going to give me the training, the understanding, the exposure that I need for that next step in my life, no matter what that's going to be? So what I would actually do is I'll challenge you, right? If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing right now, you're not going to know why you're joining a company. You're not going to know why you're not going to know what that fit's going to be. And I can tell you right now, recruiters will sniff that right away. And that will be, honestly, the downfall to you not being able to find a job. You get what I'm saying? And so my advice for you would be to spend time really thinking about what that end goal is supposed to look like for you, because it's going to be different for everybody, right? And if there happens to be something that you're passionate about, right, try and use that as maybe the stepping ground and like maybe the backbone. But I also think that if you don't have a list of values or things that you value, in yourself, and that can be filtered through your decisions, and what the right fit is going to be isn't going to just show up to you. So this we could have this conversation even offline if you want. You have you can get my number from Eman. So if you want to have a conversation and actually lay this out, lay out a path on what it looks like, I'm more than happy to actually help you do that and help you facilitate that. And even for everybody else, if you need help looking at your resumes or any of this other stuff, please feel free to use me as a resource to help you guys succeed and move forward. Because the what's it called, the what's that the professional development, the PDI group or whatever at RPI. I don't know about now, but it was trash for me. It was so trash.
I'm taking it right now. It still is.
Yeah. So if you need help, ask. You know what I'm saying? We can spend however many minutes you need to really help you steer you on the right path. Because believe it or not, the decision that you're about to make now is what's going to set you up for anything else that you're trying to do. So you might as well have the right coaching for it.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'll definitely reach out and ask for Emmanuel your contact information. But thank you for answering.
No
All
problem.
right. Thank you for all those questions. But in the interest of time, we're going to go into our announcements right now. I'm going to thank Jeff and Chuck again for sharing their stories. I think they're very helpful for a lot of people just to have some perspective. And if you have any more questions and want to contact them, you can feel free to reach out to me, and I'll definitely put you into contact. Or you can just take down just information which he has shared in the chat. But yeah, so I'm gonna hand it over to Robert right now, and he's gonna take us into our announcements for the upcoming weeks.
Okay, sounds good. So again, I wanted to thank Jeffrey and Chuck for speaking. Definitely enlightening experience. So here are our announcements.
That's me. November 7th, PCI workshop is coming up. Great job, Chica, for doing all the stuff with PCI. November 11th, we're going to have a workshop with SpaceX, information session. November 17th, there's going to be a vice president's professional event. So the VPs of all other professional organizations, SHEP, SACE is Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, and then SWE, maybe, yes, I don't know. SWE about law school. And then very important is 2 weeks from now, we are not going to be having a GBM because FRC is that week. So if you're going to FRC, you'll be in the Nesbi community anyway, but there's still going to be workshops and other things happening for the rest of the month. So the next GBM is going to be on December 3rd. And then Study Jam will still be every Wednesday.
Hi everyone. So Nesbi points are always happening. There are a lot of ways for you guys to gain points. As you know, attend an event as a game member. You guys already have the information how to become a game member if you're not one. Attend GBM points. The work resume reviews for points for that. And roll for top 5 earners and top freshman point earners. I need a drum roll, please. Right. Go ahead. Congratulations. 5th place is Omri with 21 points. 4th place is, go ahead, Robert. Brittany with 22 points. That's close. Keep going. 3rd place, Jolene at 23. Most of the points are attend events and you will gain points. All right, 2nd place, Alice with 24 points. Highest freshman point earner is still McKenna. Come on, freshman. McKenna is still leading, which is amazing. Good job, McKenna. I want to see you guys freshmen catch up. And then 1st place earner is Selena. Congratulations, everyone. Congratulations, Selena, with 26 points. And as you guys know, the more points you get, the better chance you have of attending national conferences, gaining scholarships, etc., etc.
So I guess I'll do this one. So I'm not sure if it's advertised, but Nesbi RPI does Member of the Month. We want to award our general body members for being most active and being involved within the greater community. So we want to award those for September and October. So can I get a drum roll, please, for September? And Member of the Month is Jasmine Williams. I'm not sure if she's here tonight, but we would just like to formally congratulate her for this achievement. So congratulations. So we also want to announce our Member of the Month for October. And I also need a drum roll for this as well. So congratulations to Miriam. So again, we wanted to congratulate Miriam for her work and dedication to the Nesbi RPI chapter. And we would like to say congratulations. It's definitely been an honor to work with you. So moving on to the next slide.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi was bugging out there. So at the FRC, in about 2 weeks, they're hosting a Nesbi debater tournament. It's a parliamentary style debate with teams of two, modeled after the British House of Commons. I could explain the format privately or here if you guys want, but otherwise you can contact me at the email shown. We can register as many teams as we like, but the deadline is approaching, so just reach out to me if you have any interest.
So as a reminder, the general body members can become chapter members of NSBE RPI, and some of the benefits are a VIP Discord chat, free swag, and so on. It's only $5 for the academic year, and you can pay through Venmo. And please include the following. And if you want to pay the chapter dues form, it's always up. So scan the QR code at the top at the right of the screen. So a meeting reminder is that our upstate New York zone e-board applications are open, and open positions are on the screen. Application deadline is rolling. We're still looking for people, and please contact Jalen Edmonds, upstate zone chair, at the following email with any questions. And if you want to apply, please scan the QR code, and you can also find it within the link tree, if I'm correct, of our Instagram page as well. So for conferences, we have our Fall Regional Conference, which is coming up in 2 weeks, which is on the 16th, 18th, and the 21st. And we also have our Nesbi Annual Convention from March 10th to the 14th. Now, I'm not sure if you guys got the update, but it will no longer be held in Orlando. It will be virtual. So now it is a guarantee that fortunately all general body members will have the opportunity to pursue this. So we'll keep updating you with annual convention, and hopefully look out so you can apply. Hopefully we'll get it out by like around early spring. So just be on the lookout for it. So stay in touch. So join the Discord server. I think most of you guys are already on it, but it's our main source of communication, and there are groups by class year, major, and more. And if you're not in this Discord, please do. It's the easiest way to understand to get information on what we're doing. So scan the QR code if you're interested. And we also have LinkedIn and Instagram accounts. And this is a way to get yourself involved socially and professionally. Great way to figure out what events we're doing and to figure out internship opportunities and career advice, so you can network with different people who are current students and alums. So search up NSBE RPI and look up our LinkedIn group, and we'll be happy to hopefully invite you into the group. And also check your email every Sunday evening. We send out updates every week so you guys get an insight of what's going on in the chapter. There are many ways to get involved, not just on the chapter level. We send out updates for what Nesbi is doing across the country. So it's definitely a good way to get involved. And the quote of the day for this meeting is, "It always seems impossible until it's done." And the reason why, and it's by Nelson Mandela. And the reason why I chose this quote was because looking back, at least in a lot of our experiences that were mentioned, we didn't think that we were going to be branching out from our majors. I remember I was at the career for my freshman year, and I only went to civil engineering companies. I said, that's all I have to do. That's all I have to do. But looking back, at least in my experience and talking to other people's experiences, is that we didn't think we'd be in the positions where we are now. So I really feel if we went back and told our freshman selves that we were going to do this, we wouldn't have believed it. And it definitely didn't seem like a reality. So don't be afraid to don't let your mind limit you. Like you can do broaden your horizons and utilize your skills so you can you can get to the career goals that you want. So that is the end of our GBM. We'd like to thank everyone for attending, and we hope to catch you at our next GBM on December 3rd. So again, thank you everyone for attending.
Bye everyone.